ladies and gentlemen. This is the Iron Bear podcast. This is our third or fourth episode, or fourth maybe, and we'll be talking about toxic masculinity, where it stems from, and how it's created a divide between men and women. So our hope today is to do away with the idea, or at least the concept, of the battle of the sexes to create understanding between man and woman so that we can find the gold within ourselves. So I am here today with my best friend Sully, and today we're gonna get started.
I just popped my elbow.
He just popped his elbow.
Anyways. Hey guys. So, what is toxic masculinity to you?
Toxic masculinity to me is the idea that men, let me see, that's a great question, that when men or people don't get what they want, especially men, they'll use their traits or their attributes to as an advantage over women to get what they want.
Okay.
So what is toxic masculinity to you?
To me, it's more so about character.
Okay.
From what I see, most women boil it down to character. Who they are, what they do, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But the problem with that is it may be quote-unquote toxic behavior, but it came from life.
Mm-hmm.
And to help these guys that seem toxic, some of them may be too far along, too far gone, don't want help, don't think they need help. But this can be changed.
Mm-hmm.
Because it comes down to household.
Okay.
It really does. If you live in a broken household where your family doesn't care, doesn't try, you tend to not be able to fix the issues in the right way or in a healthy way. Because there's a ton of right ways to do it, but in a healthy way. And it turns these, nice kids into mean, abusive, toxic men. What women need to know is that it's shown in movies and stuff like that. The villain backstory. Mm-hmm. It's a typical villain backstory. They go through pain. They go through, heartache. They go through, these certain things, and it turns them into this bad character. But when you really get down to it, they lacked the help. They lacked the healing that they needed. They lacked the compassion that they needed.
Mm-hmm.
So they ended up building themselves back up into a monster that they may not have wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some, other things, there's exceptions where some people just want to be that way. Get it. Some people just want to hurt people. They don't have a reason, they don't have anything like that. But the majority of men that are that way have been broken and didn't have the fixes, the healthy fixes that they needed.
Mm-hmm.
And so it causes, the percentage of men that are good to not be trusted, or to be lumped in with everybody else that hasn't had those healthy things to recover from the things that broke them.
I have a question for the audience and for you, Sully, and it's: is every red flag toxic?
No, definitely not.
So how do we make the distinction between something that's toxic and something that's, I don't think this is the right word to use, but it'll be used as a placeholder until we find a different word to better describe this, but bad. Are bad and toxic one and the same? How do we make these distinctions? Because there are a lot of people who I think fall into this bad habit of looking for fucking for actively looking for red signs or red flags.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's okay to acknowledge and recognize what those red flags are, but I think when people search for them, they create more red flags than
are actually there. Yes. That is definitely true. But the difference between toxic and bad is, this is a more legitimate definition. Toxic is something that can seep in and destroy a person. If what they do does not seep into you and destroy your character, then it is just a bad trait. And a lot of the time those bad traits aren't actually that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Because men have this thing where they understand men. And they have this feeling, but they don't say anything. I know I said I have the same feeling. I know a guy's intentions. I know when things are going weird, when things are different.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a bad trait. It is part of the self-care in a way, because they see these things and they want to protect themselves from it.
Right.
I can say that I've seen plenty of guys that have wanted to be with who I was with at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't trust them. I trust who I'm with.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing that people think tend to be toxic. When you find that whoever you're with is doing something with someone you don't know, without saying anything,
Mm-hmm.
it is typical for a person to react like, who is this? What's going on? Are they just a friend?
Mm-hmm.
What is this? A person's emotions are not toxic. You cannot tell someone that their emotions are toxic. It is not fair. It is not right. Being told that how you feel and about a certain situation is a red flag or is toxic is not toxic, is not a red flag. You have every right to be concerned about the situation.
So what do you say instead? Do you say something?
I don't know yet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's any words that I can put to it. I just know that when your man sees the actions of another man around his girl or around you and reacts in a protective / questioning, not like questioning the relationship, but questioning him, questioning the other person, not questioning who he's dating, just questioning, the other guy that is in the situation. It is not toxic. It's protective. We are mammals. It's been in our DNA for millions of years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that you just can't say, that's toxic, I don't want that. Because you're going to get it from every single man you are ever with. They are going to be protective. They're going to be concerned about what other men do to you or say to you. They're going to be protective of what is in their grasp, what is in their care, what they love. They're going to protect it. It's a natural human response to anything.
Mm-hmm.
If that doesn't mean it's a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
It's normal. Women do it for kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's natural. Men do it for their kids, for their significant other.
Mm-hmm.
It's a natural born instinct to protect the things that you care about.
And find precious, yes.
Yes.
We all fight for what we think is precious to us.
And if the red flag affects how you see things, then it would be qualified as toxic.
Mm-hmm.
If it's just like, yeah, I do, I go play pool every day. It's a habit. It's not a bad thing. If they drink every day and they try to make you drink or they try to get you to do things that you don't want to do, that's toxic.
Mm-hmm.
If they consistently lie, that's toxic.
Mm-hmm.
If they, try to help you with things or try to help to explain things to you, try to get you to,
yes,
think outside of your brain,
mm-hmm.
that's not a red flag. That's not toxic.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are trying to help.
Right.
I got this once before. When you are trying to explain something,
mm-hmm.
it's because you are passionate about it, you know about it, or I forgot the other thing. It just slipped my mind.
It's passionate about it, know about it,
or don't know if they know about it.
Right.
So, don't get angry. Don't call it toxic masculinity, mansplaining, anything like that. if they're explaining something that you know about, but you've never communicated that you know about it, that's when you have to say, okay, that's not toxic. If you've told him before, or if someone's told you before that they know about this, and then later on, they're trying to explain it to you, you just say, I already know this, but thank you. The reason that guys try to explain a lot is because a lot of the time they don't feel heard.
Right.
They don't feel like what they do is heard or
seen.
Yeah. And a lot of it can be, they're just excited about the subject. They're excited that you are a part of the subject that they like. It happens to everybody. When you get excited about something, when you get excited that someone else is excited, you're going to start talking and just explaining, blah, blah, blah. It happens.
So I think it's important to establish boundaries then.
Yeah.
Because I get insecure about talking too much. And I'll cut myself off and say, "Oh no, I'm sorry. Like I'm sorry. I know I'm talking too much. I know I'm rambling." And I think, how do I put this? I think, say in your example, when you think someone else doesn't know something and you're explaining something to them, passion. I don't know where I'm going with that. I need to think.
No, I understand what you mean. If you don't know if they know about it, ask before you try and explain.
Right.
If they don't know about it and want you to explain, ask if they want you to explain.
Right.
Ask how much they want to know. And then you can avoid this mansplaining thing.
Where does that come from? Where does mansplaining come from? Because I've heard it a couple times, and I think that term has only grew in popularity over the past few years.
It has, but it's a thing. I don't know who started it. I don't know where it started, but it was someone said that mansplaining is when a guy tries to explain something you already know to you, even though you already know. That's what mansplaining was, or tech is. But if you don't tell that person, you know about this, then how is he supposed to know he's mansplaining?
Right, and this is...
And even... Oh, sorry.
Keep going.
Even with that, maybe he can say something that you don't know about it. One small little thing, or, something you didn't realize, or something new, or, just a tiny little thing about out of the whole explanation you might not have known. When he's finished, say either, I knew all of that, but thank you. Or, well, I didn't know this one little thing. That's nice to know. Thank you.
Right.
Showing people that you appreciate them trying to help, or anything like that, goes a lot further than saying, quit mansplaining, or you're being rude, or you're being toxic.
See, that's what's dangerous. That action itself, saying stop mansplaining, that's toxic. That's dangerous. That's very dangerous. And I think that term just doesn't make sense to me. Why should I have to keep myself from expressing how I feel or what I think? That's not okay. And no matter how you look at it, mansplaining.
Get this. If you want your this goes two ways. If you want a man to sit there and listen to you talk about whatever, talk about how you feel, talk about how bad your day was, and you don't want to listen to him try and help you, what good does that do for either of you? It's a two-way street. Communication is a two-way street.
When does communication become... Why do some people prefer not to communicate?
That's bullshit. Everyone likes to communicate. I don't care if you try and say that you don't. There's always someone you want to communicate with. There's always someone you always want to talk to someone. I don't care if you're a hermit living in fucking Ireland in a hobbit house. You go out and you go talk to your neighbors. You go... even if you don't have a phone, you don't have internet, you go outside and you go and you talk to people. Unless you live in the middle of nowhere, which rarely anyone does anymore.
Yeah.
But even those people that live in the middle of nowhere communicate.
Right.
Everyone needs communication. Everyone needs someone to talk to. If you don't have that, you go fucking insane. That's why the fucking solitary confinement people end up going fucking crazy, because they spend years alone without someone to talk to.
I think that just goes to show that we're just wired to be social creatures.
Of course.
And I'm glad you brought that up, is because I'm glad you brought that up, because they punish us with solitary confinement because they understand that we're wired to communicate and to socialize. That's why that punishment is wicked. Solitary confinement.
It happens less nowadays because of human rights, I think, or something. But I know that it happens a little less nowadays than it did before. Because people were going fucking crazy and ended up in jail and ended up in prison again because they went crazy and then killed people. Or they or even ended up dead because they killed themselves from going psycho and seeing things.
Right.
But when you tell a man that his communication is toxic and mansplaining in a negative way, you tell him that you don't want his communication. But then you tell him, why don't you talk? Even if it's just a random guy, you tell him, don't do that. That's mansplaining. That's toxic. You know what's going to happen? He's going to shut down at home. Because he thinks that maybe that's what my wife thinks, or my girlfriend. Maybe I talk too much.
Right.
But you want someone to talk to you about the things that they know about or just to talk to you about what you want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
They will listen, but where are you gonna stop and listen to him?
Right.
It's about making the world a little bit better. Maybe sit and listen. Maybe next time you hear someone explaining something to someone, a guy explaining something to you, sit and listen. If you know about it, cool. Say, thank you, but I already knew all that kind of stuff. I appreciate it though.
Mm-hmm.
It was good for a nice reminder. If you don't, shut up and listen. It might be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're conflicted about whether you should talk or whether it's right to talk, isn't fair.
Right.
You can't beg for communication and then tell someone else to fuck off when they're trying to talk about something they like or they know about, or, you know, I don't know what you know about. I could explain something that you know about, not knowing you know about it. Are you going to tell me, bro, fuck off, I already knew all that?
No, I'm gonna shut up. I'm not gonna say anything, and I'm gonna let you continue to finish. I'm gonna let you finish. That's how I am.
Yeah.
Like when I've been at work with the job that I have now, but the one prior to that, they'd tell me all kinds of stuff I already knew, but I just listened, and okay. Why? Because I recognized that they were trying to help me.
Mm-hmm.
They may not know what I know, but I knew that they were trying to help me, and I would have felt like a dick saying, "Oh yeah, I heard." Yeah, no, shut up. I don't need your help.
Exactly.
So it's like when people tell me something I already know. I mean, I used to be like, I already know that. You don't have to tell me again. But now I'm like, I think that's how. I think just shutting up and listening, or listening to what they have to say, has humbled me in some ways.
Yeah. And I know some people try and make a point that, oh, I'm right, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
People need to just stop and listen and then show the person.
Yeah.
Not just, disregard them as a human. Because if you can't explain something that's right, show them.
Right.
Research it.
Mm-hmm.
Look it up. If you were wrong, learn to admit you're wrong. If you're right, don't be a dick about it.
Mm-hmm.
Just say, well, you made some good points, but this is right. This is what it says.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something trivial, why even bother trying to start a fight about it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I don't know how a fucking merry-go-round works.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the time what happens when guys get told they're mansplaining, it's a simple thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you know this? Say, yeah, but that's not working. And a lot of the time, mansplaining is just a guy trying to help.
Mm-hmm.
I got it a lot.
Right.
I'd be like, people would lose things. Be like, hey, did you check here, here, and here? Do a double check. Sometimes it's not seen at first. And what happens? I've gotten yelled at. I've gotten cussed at.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe 30 minutes later, they find it in the spot that I told them to double check, maybe even triple check,
Mm-hmm.
and it was there.
Right.
Don't attack someone who is trying to help in a stressful situation.
Mm-hmm.
You can be irritated, you can be upset, but when someone's trying to help, don't stab their hand. It's wrong, it's unfair, and it causes people to not want to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And it mostly happens to guys. When women want to help, guys tend to listen.
Mm-hmm.
And usually guys, if they can't figure it out, they'll makeshift something to do it.
Right.
I'm not saying that women can't, but men more so do it.
Mm-hmm.
Making this generalization is gonna get some controversy.
Mm-hmm.
But women tend to get more frustrated about certain things than men.
Mm-hmm.
Like, say you're trying to find something that you lost.
Mm-hmm.
What do you usually do? How do you usually react when you've lost something? You go, oh fuck, I lost it.
Yeah. Where did it go? And you start retracing steps.
Exactly.
Back, yeah.
What I've seen is when a girl loses something, they'll be like, oh fuck, freaking out. Where did it go? I need this. Yada yada yada. They may do that. They may backtrack. They may check where they've looked. But a lot of the time when you get, frustrated and irritated, you don't see the thing you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
It could be right in front of you.
Oh, for sure.
But you don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
And I will admit, guys tend to lose things a lot. But they usually find it without getting frustrated or screaming.
Mm-hmm.
There's occasions where they do get frustrated and they scream, but that's occasions.
Right.
And it's just based on certain people.
Mm-hmm.
But generally, guys are just like, lost something. Or they do the simple thing, like say you lose your phone on your bed. Girls try to pat it down and, check places. You know what most guys do?
What?
Whip! There it is.
Yeah.
Because it went flying and landed back on the bed.
Mm-hmm.
Guys are very simple, but complex. Guys have a simple way of finding things, fixing things. Very good at figuring things out.
Mm-hmm.
Without having to get super frustrated.
Right.
And a lot of the girls that I've, been with have been they freak out, and it's like, I could have done a simple thing and found it,
Mm-hmm.
but you yelled at me when I was trying to show you this simple thing that could find it.
Right.
And it causes men to not want to help. Or they help without even saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't want you to yell at them.
Yes.
Or get mad at them. Or something.
Mm-hmm.
The point is that toxicity is only there if you want to see it.
Okay.
Toxic male things are only there if you want to see them.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for it. If you can control how you react to him trying to help, trying to do something, communicating without getting angry at him for doing the things that he thinks will better the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said before, don't stab the hand reaching out to help you.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens to a lot of guys. It happened to me a lot. I would try and help, and I would get lashed out at.
Yes.
When I was just trying to, think calmly, think, things get lost in the most unexpected places.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be surprised. I've lost that before, and it was in my shoe because it rolled off my bed into my shoe.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I flipped my blanket, couldn't find it, looked around, was gonna grab my shoes to go see if I left it in my car. It slid out of my pocket in my car. Picked up my shoe and I was like, oh, well, you're not supposed to be there. Put my shoe back down and went back to laying in bed. The other day, my juice, I put it in my pocket,
Mm-hmm.
right? I got out to where I was at. I tried to check my pocket. I was like, well, fuck. Where'd my juice go? I looked in the car. I double-checked my pockets. And I was like, no, definitely not in there. Checked under the seats, checked around the seats. I was like, this is a pretty big bottle. It's not going to fall between the seats.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I think it slipped out at home. I wasn't too concerned. Shit happens.
Yes.
I was just like, well, damn, I'm out of juice for now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll wait till I get home. I have another bottle at home, too. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Something similar like that happened. I wasn't around. The place that it got lost, I said to double check.
Mm-hmm.
With a flashlight, looking down in. I got yelled at. I got cussed at. I was like, okay, well, if you don't want my help, then I'm just going to shut up.
Mm-hmm. And what did that person say?
They got mad and hung up.
Okay.
I was like, okay, whatever. Hour and a half later-ish, maybe a little more, she looked, and it was there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. Are you going to say sorry?
Mm-hmm.
Recognize when you do something wrong to someone and apologize for the actions you took and the things that you said when you were frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
It'll make so much of a difference.
Right.
You don't yell at the tow truck guy when he's trying to tow your car because it broke down. Mm-hmm. You don't yell at someone giving you medicine when you're feeling sick, or someone giving you soup when you're feeling sick.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you do the same for anything else? Toxic masculinity is just a thing to try and hate men.
Right.
And it's not there. It's not a thing. I was told that sitting like this is toxic masculinity. Sitting with your legs wide open is toxic masculinity. Try and live with 3 balloons sitting in your legs, sweating with hair, and not have to sit like this so that you're not popping a nut. I sat on my nut just a minute ago, coming back in here with food. Tell me how I'm supposed to be comfortable sitting on my nuts.
Right.
And no guy is gonna say, if a woman sits like this, it's toxic femininity. No. Whoa, that fucking word had me fucked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No guy is gonna say that's toxic feminism, whatever. They're gonna be like, okay. You know who tells women that toxic women shit? Other women. Do you hear guys telling you, other guys, that was toxic masculinity? No. They'll point out toxic femininity sometimes. Feminism. Fuck it.
Femininity.
That. I can't say that word. But a guy will point that out every here and there. But that's fucking fake too. That was a counter to toxic masculinity, which came up first. They both don't exist. Just communicate, and those go away.
Right.
If a guy can let a woman communicate and actually listen and understand, the toxic shit goes away. If a woman can sit and listen to a man, the toxic masculinity can go away. It was all just a thing to separate, to have men and women attack each other for just being the other gender.
Right.
This was never a problem years ago. It should have never even started to be a problem. Men love women. Some men love some, there's exceptions. Bullshit. Not bullshit, but there's exceptions. Guys loving guys, whatever. But men love women. And women usually love men.
Right.
Both have exceptions. So why start something that doesn't need to be there? Talk. Listen. That's how you get rid of things that don't need to be there. I did a lot of talking this week.
You're absolutely fine. Well, that's it for today's episode, my fellow Iron Bears. We probably didn't cover everything, and we might do another episode on toxic masculinity. But thank you for...
Not even that. Not even just that. Just what people call toxic behavior. We can cover that.
Okay, yeah, we can talk.
No more of this toxic masculinity, toxic feminism shit.
Okay.
It doesn't need... You don't need to label something that isn't there.
Okay.
Or doesn't need to be there.
Fair enough. Well, do you have any closing words? I know I didn't speak a lot, but I felt like we actually covered a topic that I didn't really know much about, and I want to do research on.
I'll do some research on it too, because I may have made some wrong points, but I was just saying how I felt.
Oh, and that's important.
To me, it is something that shouldn't exist, that shouldn't be a problem.
And we're going to figure out different steps to take that will lead to a solution.
Yeah. Hopefully people listen. I mean, what else can they do that's not like they can see our faces yet?
Right. Face reveal.
5 more episodes for face reveal. If I can get my camera to actually work.
Well, thank you for listening, everyone. I hope you guys have a good rest of your night. And don't forget that you are important.
Peace.